right, welcome to another episode of the Crypto Spender podcast. To start out, I'm going to talk a little about the podcast as a whole. For you people who are new, and for those that just don't know how I kind of like format everything, you have what you're listening to right now on multiple platforms: iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, whatever. And then you have the text components, which appear on the website and on Steemit, which on Steemit is where you'll find the sources and in most cases, any articles where I don't include verbally, but include with text. So if you just go to the website at like past 12 p.m. EST, Eastern Time, there should be links to sources, and also, on the website there will be summaries of what was said, and a link to Steemit, which includes the sources and extra commentary about what I didn't verbally talk about. And you can follow me on Twitter or other social media. Facebook's kind of just for small updates. If you want the latest hot takes about random things, I'm gonna start upping my Twitter game, so you can do that. And I'll also try to get the episodes out before 3 a.m. all the time. That's the goal. And I think I'll start hitting that goal because it was painful rushing through production. But let's get started on the news. First of all, Indian state partners with fund to launch blockchain ecosystem. So Andhra Pradesh and Indian state is embracing blockchain by partnering with Covalent Fund, and they will be starting a blockchain university and giving startups the resources they need to succeed. With India's IT focus, expect some blockchain innovations to pop up as long as the government doesn't get in the way, because as you know, the Indian government has been looking pretty hard at throwing down regulation for Indian blockchain businesses. Opera browser adds cryptocurrency miner protection for smartphones. As you know, there's a lot of malware and websites that include Bitcoin or Monero miners, some kind of crypto miner, and obviously these miners end up killing your phone's battery because it drains a lot of resources. So you don't necessarily need to use Opera to be safe from these miners. As long as you're blocking scripts from the websites, you'll be fine. That's the safest. And I believe you can use an extension called uBlock Origin. It's uBlock Origin. Just configure that on your Firefox or Chrome browser, and it should block most of these kind of things for you. Or you could download Brave, and Brave comes with uBlock, I think. Or Brave just does a similar thing on its own. I forgot which one. Can't think of it right now. But I use a combination of, I'm the type of person who uses multiple browsers, so I have Firefox with uBlock Origin for all the sketch normal browsing, then Brave for crypto, and kind of now casual browsing, because I actually like Brave over Chrome, and Chrome's usually for professional or school stuff at this point. But yeah, you can just get an extension and it does the same without having to switch browsers if you're not a multi-browser, or if you don't want to move to Opera, or I'm giving you options with the uBlock if you're also someone who uses multiple browsers. 4 million in IOTA stolen by hackers through online scene generators. So, seeds. I don't know how the process to generate them for IOTA is, because personally I don't really care for IOTA, so I never really took a dive into it. But the key lesson is don't really trust online resources like this for crypto, because they are definitely points where hackers or scammers can exploit you. In this case, it was a hacker that got control of the website and utilized all the seeds to take all the funds these users have put in their wallets. Not fortunately, but it's good for IOTA that wasn't directly caused by them, but it was indirectly caused by them, since if their process was more user-friendly, this wouldn't have happened in the first place. But lessons for the future, I guess, to make sure if some critical step like this needs to be as user-friendly as possible to prevent an online service being a point of failure. Brazil investors flock to Bitcoin rather than the stock market. So Bitcoin not only outperforms the stock market in gains, it's been outperforming on participation, and even when coupled with treasury bonds in Brazil. So crypto offers Brazilians a better choice, a better solution, because instead of having to solely have the option of dealing with Brazilian, I think it's reais or reals, something like that, you have the option for multiple currencies, to US dollar, euro. There's a lot of flexibility, and when you're in a economy with slight more restrictions or uncertainty. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of people flock to crypto in general. IRA Bitcoin allowing for approved crypto exposure in retirement funds. So IRA Bitcoin LLC allows you to make some tax deductible contributions toward crypto, my fellow U.S. citizens. However, you do not have control over your own private keys. This is due to how the regulation and oversight kind of legal framework works. So be aware that you do not control your coins. But they did say it's pretty easy to swap between US dollars and whatever other coin options they have, and swap between coins. And your options, I believe, are Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. Not too bad of a lineup. And I guess positive thing for some people, since it's a tax deductible. CNBC's Dan Nathan, Bitcoin Cash will overtake Bitcoin. So CNBC has a pretty terrible track record with their recommendations. Why? Because recommended Ripple at the all-time high, and I think a similar thing might have happened with Litecoin, or it was something with the whole Charlie selling off drama. I don't remember exactly. But Ripple is the thing that stands out the most in recent memory for me, about them just being bad at recommending people stuff. So I have no reason to believe this thought will be right either. And My reasoning here is I really doubt Bitcoin Cash will ever overtake Bitcoin in market cap or price. And the only metric can really dominate is in transactions. It can try to be more widely used than Bitcoin, and for this specific situation, normally this isn't really tied to each other, but for this specific situation, having more transactions of Bitcoin guarantees that it will have a lower price. And even transaction wise, it's gonna get kind of fuzzy considering Lightning Network is going to be a better option than Bitcoin Cash once the Lightning Network is kind of fully functional. So, as I said I think last time was my little spiel. I doubt anyone's gonna be topping the Bitcoin King, but if you try to dominate in a niche area, you could definitely see way more use than Bitcoin will in the future. Bitcoin to 55,000 this year. So Zoe Lopez Barata published an article showing his discovery from messing with historical data. He said it was just for fun mainly, but it does give a bit of insight to how much you could potentially gain you can potentially gain from Bitcoin this year. I know right now everything's down in the dumps, so hitting 55K seems impossible, but this is just one of those times where shaking weak hands, weak money out, and we're kind of revving up for institutions to start flooding in and making the industry a lot more sterile in a way, but more legitimate. And the fact that Bitcoin's going to be relatively scarce, and obviously it's the most used, most popular, not really most used transaction wise, but it's most popular, and it's useful as a medium of getting to other coins. So it will definitely see some price increases. Who knows how far? I mean, this could be a milder year than we think, but ultimately, who knows? That's kind of why I don't like talking about prices of specific coins, because it's all just guessing. When you get too far ahead of yourself, like a year in crypto is basically 5 anywhere else sometimes. I mean, as you can see, a lot happens in a day. Like the prices is just too volatile to really tell where the price will be in a good 11 months in the future. Coinbase taps Twitter vet to bolster customer support. Armstrong has been bringing a lot of outside help recently, and that's good because glad he realizes his calls haven't been the best. He's been kind of irresponsible in my eyes as a kind of Bitcoin CEO head or crypto head. He's way too antagonistic against Bitcoin to be in the position he's in, and his slow response and slow management of the whole transaction and shift to SegWit really soured a lot of people, because it was something that should have been implemented a long time ago, and not just as the new operating director or whatever got put in. But yeah, Armstrong, who knows where Coinbase will be in 10 years, but I think they will be staying around, considering even if there's a large amount of more veteran, I guess you could say, crypto heads who are against Coinbase now. Coinbase really thrives off of being the kind of grind town for the newer people who don't know any better yet. And it would take way more effort than currently going on to get people to stop using Coinbase, or to direct the flow of new people from Coinbase to another exchange. SEC is looking closely at public blockchain pivots, says chairman. So there's been a lot of talk in the news about all these companies, real companies, like I think Lipton Tea was a big one, and then more unknown one like that UBI blockchain. Just all these companies, they're switching to have blockchain in their name. SEC is looking at them to make sure they were compliant, and it's going to be interesting to see how some of these companies respond to all this SEC attention. But at this point, I feel like they might be insufficiently, that's what I'm looking for, insufficiently funded or staffed to handle all the pursuits of companies or whatever. I don't know the words right now, but I feel like they will be unable to pursue all that are available for them to pursue. And really only these established companies and the bigger ICOs and blockchain companies, crypto companies will be really on the national SEC radar. It's not saying that these state SECs won't be looking out and hitting their own targets, but that's a totally another conversation. I think it's just be an interesting year for a legal standpoint for America and these countries. A side note, I remember that there's something about having blockchain in your name, even on social media. So for companies putting it in your name, increase your stock price. And apparently for Twitter, people saw bots starting to follow them once they put blockchain in their name. So you can kind of tell that the industry is hot, unnecessarily hot, and a lull like this was to shake out some of these people who aren't genuine, and it'll be interesting to see as the tech matures and it's conductive to transparency and openness, but we're still very much operating in the shadows. Evrial malware steals Bitcoin by changing copied addresses. So this malware has the potential to hijack crypto and Steam trades. It is available for less than $30 and is available for less than $30 on the dark web, which opens it up to a lot of newer hackers to do as they please. To keep yourself safe, just do the basics. Don't randomly open up links or download things from unverified sources, because that might affect you. Just stay smart and have some common sense and you'll be alright. If you're using uBlock Origin like I recommend it, you can sleep a little easier, because usually you can avoid some of the worst things with that extension for your browser. Hundreds of fake cryptocurrency apps are available for download. So this is another one to be careful, to do as much research on these apps as you're doing with coins, because mobile smartphones are the biggest security risk to crypto, and sometimes I'm going to flat out say I wouldn't recommend you even checking your actual accounts on your phone, because that's just risky at this point. Keep the account interaction on a desktop or laptop that's not widely used for casual browsing or whatever. You really want to just minimize the risk, and best thing you could do is get a hardware wallet, I guess, if you're super rich and you just have thousands of dollars that you can't afford to lose. But just be aware that there's just crypto's growing, and the potential to get rich by swindling people is growing with it, and more attacks on crypto can be expected to happen. Unfortunately for this episode, I had to cut down a slight chunk of it because there's a lot going on, and I was procrastinating pretty hard. So, apologize for not covering everything I wanted to cover. Some of the most important ones or interesting ones are in the Axed list that's on Steemit in 12 hours or so. So look out for that. And as always, please rate the podcast. I'm not going to say 5 out of 5 this time because I'm sucking a little bit today. But I appreciate you listening, and see you Monday with a more organized show going on.